So first I want to ask you what your thoughts are about the time we've spent together so far, and any feedback that you might want to give.
Well, I love our time together, and it really helps me focus and hone in on my fundamentals. I'm glad that we got to do a game today, because once you take what you're learning to the table in a competition, like I said, everything changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forget, and I get busy, I get distracted, so I want to just keep trying to focus and hone in so I can hopefully take those fundamentals better to competition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the way I think the best way to do that is to do what I said to both you and Mark at the beginning of this, and that is when you're getting ready to be in a tournament or league play, go back through it yourself. I see everybody gets together with their friends or their teammates and just knocks balls around the table. Right. And you don't embed these swing thoughts. What they call it in golf is swing thoughts, right? What thoughts should you have as you're going through this thing? And that piece of paper that I gave to Mark is a list of the things he needs to think about. The only way you can do that is alone, by yourself, shoot a shot, look at the list and say, which part of this list did I miss? Here's Robin's checklist. Number 1, determine the contact point in the ghost ball position, and that's on the line from the object ball to the pocket. Then stand back behind the cue ball, and you are going to be aligning your head, eyes, and your left foot, which will be your rear foot. Next, check grip position. It should be a loose grip with the thumb position downwards. Fourth, maintain alignment and step into the shot. Make sure the bridge is firm and steady and the bridge length is correct. Take steady practice strokes, not too many. Number 7, pause while checking tip position, then contact point on the object ball, back to tip position, contact point, tip position, contact point. This is a 1, 2, 3 count pause. Then a slow back count, 1, 2, and a pause, and then the forward stroke. Finish with the tip on the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, and check tip position. And the bolded ones are critical ones that Robin needs to pay attention to. And as you're walking through it, then you embed that, and you embed that, and you embed it until it's just the way you do things. So that's going to be a struggle all along. Anything else?
No, I don't think anything else specifically.
Okay, up to now, you and I have not worked on tactics at all until the match that you just played, and then we started to walk through some tactics. And I would tell you, tactically, you look pretty good. You usually chose the right shots. We did catch a couple of now what moments where you had your mind on making a shot, and then after you make that shot, there was going to be no chance that you could do anything useful from there. So the best thing to do when you're in a moment like that is to not take that shot, not make that ball. Right. You don't have to make balls to win. In fact, you'll win a lot more often by not making balls sometimes. And that is not sandbagging, that is playing safe.
Right.
In other words, you're choosing to not make a shot. You're not pretending you're missing the shot on purpose. Right. And you should let people know that was a defensive shot. So when you were in this situation earlier and your other 2 balls were locked up like this with another player, if you make this shot, and it was a really nice shot you made, but if you make it, now you're put in the position of having to break out one of these balls. They were actually tied up worse than that. They were more like that.
They were, yeah.
If you miss it and you just hang it up over here like this, let's say, now you're in a powerful position because he has to break those balls out, okay, not you. Okay. And so that's the situation you face. And the other one was very similar. The 8 ball was locked up with one of his balls there. You made your last object ball in the pocket and then went now what? And it was a pretty bad now what. Yes. So tactically, those are the things we're going to be looking for. But what I'd like to continue to work on with you on is last week we started to talk about having balls like this. Now you notice when that 4 ball was over here, you're near a pocket, and there are all kinds of ways that we talked about you could make that ball. One was to come off the rail and bump it in. The other was to hit it on this side and come back out. You also could have shot straight at it and stopped the ball, or straight at it and drawn it. So when the balls are near a pocket like that, you have all kinds of options. You can hit the ball over to that side of the pocket and go in that direction. You can hit it over to that side and go in that direction. You can hit it in the center. But one of the things I've noticed, even though tactics weren't a weakness in your game that much, aiming was. And so we need to work on aiming with you. And so I want to tell you my philosophy on aiming, and it is that if you want to be a really good player, don't use aiming tricks. In other words, if you go online and look up aiming in pool,
yes,
there are all these professors that have their various complicated methods. Hit 1/8 ball, hit 1/16 ball, hit a quarter ball, do this, do that, sweep while you're coming down on the ball. All this stuff is a patch, a Band-Aid to learning to shoot by feel and by aiming while you're back on your feet. So my view is that if you want to, and we're going to shoot this shot right here repeatedly, okay? Let's do it like this. We'll put it over here somewhere. Just inside this diamond and just inside that diamond, and let's put it near where the spot should be, even though there's not a spot on this table. Now when I'm looking at this shot, I'm doing all my aiming with my foot placement. Okay, I'm looking at that line. I come over here first, which you're very good at doing. I find out where my contact point is. Now I'm going to feed my lower brain with information that I'm not necessarily going to use after that fact, but I'm allowing it to get a three-dimensional view of what's happening. So I look and I go, okay, there's a square light there, and the corner of that light is pointed right at that pocket. That's one piece of information I fed to it.
okay,
I may not look at that light again, but I fed it to my subconscious brain. And I look and I see, wow, the top of the ball is just a 1/4 inch over from that circle that says 4 on it. Oh, and I notice another thing. The shortest spot on the shadow is aimed right at that. So I just fed 3 different bits of information into my brain. Right? Not the conscious part of my brain. I'm feeding it to my subconscious. It's going to remember all 3 of those things. You never have to think about them again. Now I figure out where the contact point is. Now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to keep my eye on that spot that I think, and now I have given my brain, the one that knows how to hit baseballs and the one that knows how to hit tennis balls and the one that knows how to jump off one parallel bar and grab the other, the one that knows how to catch a frisbee like a dog does. I've given all kinds of information to that part of my brain, and that's powerful. So now I'm doing a specific thing, and that is I'm coming back here and I'm imagining the line that the cue ball has to take in order to hit that ball. And I come back here and I place my foot just inside that line with my hand at my hip like this. Now, as you progress, you won't need to do this measurement thing. But I place that foot, and I'm done with my primary aiming at that point. If I get down on the ball like this, and I'm starting to go through the rest of my shot, and I'm fine-tuning my aim, and I go, wow, that I feel like I'm hitting the ball too full. I stand back up, and I'm going to move this over by 1/2 inch or so. That's how much, that's what I'm aiming with, is that foot, because however I come down on that foot is how the position of the rest of the thing, my body is going to go. Now I look and I ask myself, practice stroke. Does it look comfortable? 1, 2, 3. During that 1, 2, 3, I'm asking, does it look comfortable? Then I'm going to go back 1, 2, and then I'm going to go through the ball 1, 2, 3, 4, and end it on the cushion like that. And so that feeling you get after you've fed all this information, after you've come over here and gotten the line, after you've placed your foot, after you've come down in the shot, now you're just using your eyes to fine-tune if it feels right or not. And when it feels right, that's when you pull the trigger.
Okay.
Does all this make sense? Now, there are
100%.
people that'll tell you you need to come down and make, for this shot, do a half ball hit. But then that's fine. This shot's pretty close to a half ball hit. But what about when it's over here? Now they'll say do a quarter ball hit. Well, that's a lot harder to judge. You can tell a half ball hit because the center of the cue ball is going to go at that right edge, right? But now when I come over here and I'm doing a quarter ball hit, well, now the center of the cue ball doesn't have anything to aim at. And so if you rely on those kind of spatial ideas, I don't think you'll do as well in the long run as you will if you teach the fundamental part of your brain that knows how to hit a baseball. You're not giving it those kind of instructions. Oh, the baseball's coming at me, I'm going to put the bat so it's 3/4 to the bottom of the baseball and I'm going to hit it so that I get a fly ball instead of a grounder. You don't do that. You can't do that. Your lower brain is 1,000,000 times smarter than you, so you need to hand it over to it. And that is a feeling. It will send you a feeling when you're lined up correctly. And you need to search for that feeling. It's like, is that right? Is that right? Is that right? I'm honing in, I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then the fighter jet locks in.
So the problem is, I find, is when I move from the lineup to the cue ball, I lose my space. How do I do
But your subconscious brain doesn't lose it.
It doesn't.
And that's why if you're careful about your instruction there, if
Okay.
you're trying to consciously hold it as you come over, that's difficult to do. The thing to do, I think, if you want to use your eyes as you're coming back over here, some people do this, but you don't see any pros doing that.
Okay.
So what you're really looking at is that spot on the ball. The spot is right there, and you keep your eyes on that spot, and you're giving yourself spatial information as you come over here. Now, what we started to talk about last week is, if I put the ghost ball here, so the ghost ball is right there, right? Right there. So if you come over here and look, put your head straight on the edge of that 4 ball and look at those 2 balls. They are an upside down mirror image of each other. So the distance over on this ball that you have to hit it is exactly the distance over on the cue ball where you have to hit it. They're perfect mirrors of each other. To illustrate this, we're looking at a quarter ball hit here, and the contact point is halfway between the edges of the balls. So it's on the front side of the object ball, the 8 ball, and on the back side of the cue ball, and it's a flipped over mirror image. And it always looks like this. For example, in the case of a half ball hit shown in the center here, it's also a mirror image, and it's also at the halfway point between the edges of the ball, and that's true for a 3/4 ball hit as well. It's always a mirror image, and it's always at the halfway point between the edges of the ball, and this is what I try to get people to visualize when they're learning how to aim in pool. So if I were to mark this spot right here, and I mark that spot right there, and I bring this over and I turn that ball over like that, it's exactly the same spot. So those are a mirror image of each other. So if you learn to get the feel of that, that's the best way to learn how to aim balls. And I'm telling you something that lots of people are going to argue in favor of, and lots of people are going to argue against, because in the pool community, if you want to start an argument on azbilliards.com, the main forum, just start talking about aiming, and you'll have people going at each other till the moderators shut it down. Okay?
Oh, that's funny.
But most great players are not using a mechanical aiming technique.
So, do you think there's any evidence that would suggest your learning style and the way your brain is wired would be better for a different aiming technique?
That may very well be the case.
Okay.
That very well may be the case.
If I keep trying
And if we get
trying.
to a point, there is one aiming, I've looked at every single aiming method you can imagine that's out there.
Yeah.
There's one aiming method that comes from Anthony Beeler that I think may be useful for people with certain brain issues
Okay.
of how they look at the world. But I think 80 or 90% of the people that take up pool should learn to align themselves to the point where they understand where the ghost ball and the contact point are, come down on the shot with that line, and then get the feel.
And when you go to shoot, you totally see it. You 100%.
Well, no, because I miss a lot.
Right.
Everybody
but
misses.
When you're looking, you feel 100%, because you might hit the ball wrong, but you feel 100% certain that you can see that spot.
It's exactly like that tone from, you don't see it at first when you come down on it. You're looking back and forth, and your lower brain is making such tiny micro adjustments you can't even see the stick move. I don't know how to explain it. All we can do is do it and get you to a point where you're going, okay, I know what it's like when Top Gun Maverick hones in on that fighter jet that he's chasing, and it goes, and the tone sounds. We want the tone to sound in your head.
Right.
If you can get that feeling, then every shot you make, no matter what angle it is, you can hone in on getting that tone.
Okay. And does the light have any bearing on the aiming point? Like a lot of people talk about the light on top of the ball.
Well,
there's
yes.
light on top of the ball, I get it.
It's one more piece of information that you can use.
It's right in the center when I'm looking at that to aim it. And when I come over here,
Well, but don't use the whole light. Use the point on the light is pointing straight at this corner.
oh,
It's an arrow. Right now you have an arrow right there that's
Yes,
pointing straight at the corner.
exactly.
And guess what? When you go over there, the arrow's pointing the same way.
it is, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
Okay, that's what in the
It
shadow.
looks like it's changing perspective
It
when you come over
does.
here.
It
But if you
does.
aim it so that,
But it's
so
not.
right now, if I aim the cue ball to a contact point using that arrow, it will knock it in the pocket. Because the direction that that arrow looks like it's pointing is the same from over here as it is over there, except it's reflecting from a different part of the ball. But the direction's the same,
Okay.
okay?
Is that the same with the shadow?
That's the same with the shadow.
Doesn't change when I move around the ball?
So the shadow's not going to change. The shadow is being produced by the light, right?
Oh, sorry.
And
I don't know why,
just-
it gives me the feeling it changes.
Both the shadow and the light are always going to be in the same place.
Okay.
But they're going to look like they're in a different place from over here. But if I aim at the smallest part of the shadow here, it's the same as aiming from the smallest part of the shadow as it looks from over here.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I know that sounds like a silly question now that I said it.
It's not silly at all.
I know that it doesn't move, but it looks like it.
It's not silly at all. It's a super important question. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mark a couple of spots here, and I want you to practice going through the whole shot, finding your contact point, feeding information to your lower brain. Mm-hmm. You're not necessarily going to use any one piece of that information, although when I have a situation like this where that corner is pointing right at the corner, which, by the way, because this is a square light, this corner's pointing there, that corner's pointing there, you'll often find a pattern for the lighting system that helps you do that. If you shoot from here, come over here, feed it in. Where's the edge of that ring, the 5-ball, the white ring for the 5-ball? Where's the base of the shadow? Where's the point on the light? Feed all that in, then try to hold that and come over here, and it's going to look a little different. But what you'll do over time, after you do this over and over again, is you'll start to get that tone going in your head. Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Mark Wilson
Okay.
taught me this concept of you get down on the ball and you go, does it look right? Does it look right? Does it look right? Oh yeah, it looks right. Okay, I'm going to fire away. Or does it look right? Does it look right? No, I think I'm a little too full, so I've got to stand up and reposition myself. Half an inch makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I come back down. And this whole foot placement thing is the reason why you can't shoot that shot in and then walk over here and go like this and shoot that shot, and you see them miss every time doing that. The problem is every once in a while they make it doing
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I see. I watch them.
Yep. So when you come in like this, you don't know where that line is. You haven't given your lower brain any information at all. And it's exquisite. It can make a dog leap into the air and catch a frisbee, right? It can make you make the shots, but only if you feed it correct information about what the line is. So I'm going to go and get some donuts and set up a shot here. And I just want you to mainly concentrate on understanding where the contact point is, using whatever information's available to you. If the 5 on the 5-ball is over there, I picture it rolling right end over end. What you visualize is going to help create what happens. What you visualize and every human being visualizes. Yeah. Some say they work mainly with words, but it'd be impossible to even walk around in the world without visualizing, because the things that are around us in the world are presented to us by our brain, not by the world. It's just by the world itself. Okay.
I was thinking, that can't be right, but my brain was telling me it was right.
That's why you have to do it over and over again until you realize what you're envisioning.
Yeah, that takes a lot of brain work from me right now, but it's good. I mean, this is really the way I want to play pool. I don't want to line it up the other way. I'm guessing a little bit.
If you get to a point where, like, you can watch Ryan playing, he's not aiming.
His brain is like,
he's wired in. He's feeling it.
Yeah, he totally is.
And that's the point you want to get to. And anybody can get there, but not if you're busy measuring 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 inch. You'll never get the feel that he has.
Right.
His body is tuned to the line of the shot. We're talking about Ryan Hogan's a good friend of hers. Yeah. No, say not.
No, I cut it too thin. I felt that. Oh, I felt that. Which is typical. I'm almost always cutting it too thin.
Actually, that's called the pro side, and that's a good thing. Most beginning players hit it too full. So hitting it too thin is a lot easier problem to solve than hitting it too full, believe it or not.